Hey everybody, Mike Slifer here in the First Alert Forecast Center. We have a jam-packed First Alert weather extra, so let's jump right into it. We'll start off with where we've been so far this month. Today, 3 degrees below the average high of 86. But overall, July is still running a bit above average when it comes to temperature and above average when it comes to rainfall. In fact, even if we didn't see any more rain for the rest of the month, we would still finish just a bit above where we typically would be for the month of July. But we have both rain and more heat in the forecast. We'll begin with the heat here. Heat advisories in effect for a large majority of Connecticut Thursday and especially on Friday. Heat index values tomorrow 90 to 95. By Friday, 95 to 100 degrees or higher. So that's what it will actually feel like outside. Both tomorrow and Friday are first alert weather days. Friday, we also could be looking at record warmth in parts of the state, and that heat and humidity will act as fuel for some thunderstorms, which could be strong, bordering on severe that is, later in the day. So not only will we see the same outdoor plan impact, but also some issues when it comes to travel too. Here's the heat risk map for Thursday, tomorrow. We see moderate impacts, especially for parts of, say, northwestern Connecticut, and really for areas west of the Connecticut River and throughout the Quiet Corner. Southeastern Connecticut, not quite as big of an impact, thanks to just a little bit of a help from wind coming off the relatively cooler Long Island Sound. And as is typical on these hot, humid days, air quality alerts in effect tomorrow from 11 in the morning until 11 in the evening due to high concentrations of ground-level ozone. This is particularly an issue for people who have pre-existing conditions like asthma. Good idea to spend some time indoors and seek out the AC if that applies to you. By Friday, moderate to major impacts. The heat risk map certainly showing more in the way of these red pixels, which translates to a greater impact from the heat and humidity. Just to give you an idea, we're talking what it actually feels like outside. Heat index values upper 90s and anywhere from about 100 to 105, especially for the parts of our state that are along, say, the 91 corridor, parts of the 84 corridor. It is going to be hot out there on Friday. We do enjoy some sunshine tomorrow, very bright day. There's that persistent southwesterly wind bringing that humidity back into Connecticut. And by Friday, we'll see this front approaching. It doesn't actually move through until late afternoon, early evening. And that's going to coincide with our risk for thunderstorms clearing out once we get late into Friday evening. And then by Saturday, we will see some drier weather take hold. We'll talk a bit more about that in depth coming up in just a moment. We did want to mention, though, that we ride the roller coaster here of humidity. Dew points go up Friday, drop on Saturday, and go right back up on Sunday. And that's actually going to be our next First Alert weather day. That's right. We have 3 First Alert weather days over the next 7 days. Sunday, we're focused on the impacts from potential thunderstorms. Here's 3 p.m. Sunday in our model comparison, both models showing at least the risk for storms Sunday afternoon, and those storms could be strong, perhaps even becoming severe. So we do have a storm threat on Sunday, which will, again, really affect your outdoor plans on Sunday, the second half of the weekend. As we see it now, Saturday, certainly the pick of the 2-day stretch. We are nice and dry across Connecticut tonight. Connecticut's only live radar. You can see the beam scanning from within our state's borders, not showing anything out there. And we'll keep things dry throughout the day tomorrow, too. The clouds that we saw develop, which were related to the daytime heating we had, have since dissipated. So those are just about done. And we don't have to worry about those with skies becoming mostly clear overnight. Our ICAM view here in Hartford, we're looking to the east and northeast here, 75 degrees at Hartford Brainerd. That's the Bulkley Bridge with 84 running over it. And you can see the interchange with 91 too. We'll take you live right now to our ICAM in Waterbury from top the Mattituck Museum here. We're looking West Main Street and the Green. We can see the cross in the distance from Holy Land, USA, down to 69 in the Brass City right now. We'll take you to Rocky Hill, looking north of the Hartford skyline. Again, great visibility out there, and skies have cleared. Live look at our ICAM in Middletown, looking off to the northeast. We have the Aragoni Bridge there in the foreground, and we can see stars in the sky behind the bridge. Mostly clear skies tonight, allowing temperatures to drop, just not as quickly as what we've seen over the last several nights. And part of that has to do with the southerly winds that we have ongoing. Our ICAM view in New Haven, overlooking parts of the Yale campus. We can see Harkness Tower, 76 degrees right now. And we'll take you live to our ICAM in New London, where it's currently 70 and dry. Ferry loading docks are all dry. We see people out walking right now, too. So when it comes to what we would typically see this time of year, 86 is the average high right now. We made it to 83 today. 84 specifically for Windsor Locks, Bradley International, the Hartford area. Many towns were between about 80 and 85 degrees, and we saw some upper 70s throughout southeastern Connecticut, again thanks to that southerly wind direction coming off the relatively cooler Long Island Sound. Temperatures currently about 70 to 75 statewide, which is up compared to yesterday, especially across northern parts of the state. We're anywhere from 5 to 10 degrees warmer right now, and while the shoreline is warmer, the difference is not quite as extreme. Dew points are up too. If you recall last night on the First Alert Weather Extra, dew points were still in the 50s. And even some lower 50s. That's not the case right now, with dew points back in the upper 50s, nearing 60 degrees. As the night goes on, temperatures will dip down into the lower 70s, eventually the 60s, and that's where we settle tonight. So we'll certainly be warmer than last night, but seasonably so. Our average low temperature, 64 degrees. We're forecasting around 66. Many towns in the mid and upper 60s, closer to 70 degrees as you head closer to the shoreline. We'll take it town by town for highs tomorrow. 87 in Litchfield and Thomaston, 85 in Norfolk. We see some low 90s mixed in through the greater Hartford area. 86 in Hebron tomorrow, 87 in Stafford and Pomfret, 85 in Plainfield. And that onshore wind direction keeping shoreline towns in southeastern Connecticut in the lower 80s. From Old Saybrook points east through Mystic and Stonington, lower 80s. Jewett City and Salem coming in at 85 tomorrow, 88 in Portland, 87 in Durham, 84 in Madison, 87 in Branford and Sonia tomorrow, 87, 88 in Newtown, near 90 through Bethel and Danbury, near 90 for Norwalk and points southwest. On Friday, we watch temperatures climb even higher, and there's that thunderstorm risk appearing as we get later into the day on Friday. Records on Friday still certainly in reach. In fact, we're forecasting record warmth specifically for Bridgeport. The old record of 93 was set in 2001. We're forecasting 94. For the Hartford area, the record of 98 could end up being safe. Given the increased risk for some clouds and those storms developing, we're now forecasting 94 inland, but it will feel much hotter, feeling like the upper 90s and low hundreds. That's why, part of the reason why Friday is a First Alert Weather Day. Remember, tomorrow, similar, a First Alert Weather Day as heat index values climb into the 90s. And there's not much relief overnight with temperatures in the 70s. We will get a bit of a break from the humidity on Saturday, turning brighter with temps back in the upper 80s, lower 80s for highs on Sunday. But the humidity ramps back up, so that's still going to give us some instability out there, and storms will be possible, perhaps strong or severe, prompting that First Alert Weather Day. Along the shoreline, 82 on Sunday. We're back to the upper 80s near 90 on Monday, increasing sunshine. 90 to 95 on Tuesday, and by Wednesday we'll see temperatures back in the upper 80s. So in order for us to have a heat wave officially, we need 3 consecutive days or more at or above 90, and we will not get that because we dip into the 80s through the course of the weekend until we return to the 90s early next week. What we will do, however, is add to our 90-degree day tally. We're at 14 so far for 2025, and in a typical year, we see 20. And we have 4 days at or above 90 in the First Alert 7-day forecast. They're just not consecutive, so it's still going to be hot at times. It's just not a long stretch of prolonged heat. And before we get into where we are headed when it comes to average temperatures moving forward, we did want to just briefly mention that on Friday is all about that severe threat. So this is the outlook from the Storm Prediction Center on Friday. And we'll walk you through the zoomed in view on First Alert Futurecast here. So starting off Friday afternoon, 1 o'clock we're still dry, but by 4 p.m., take a look. We have storms developing in the western part of the state, crossing Connecticut through the late afternoon and early evening. 5, 6 o'clock, we'll be tracking thunderstorms that move offshore around 8 in the evening. So it's that window, late afternoon, early evening, where you see perhaps the greatest impacts on Friday. And Friday, we will be in the 90s. It's going to be hot. It's going to be humid. There will be plenty of energy for thunderstorms to tap into when that cold front moves in. And that cold front will eventually help to, at least briefly, bring some relief from the humidity. Now, Friday is also an interesting day because that's when our average high temperatures begin their fall. Right now, the average high for the Hartford area, 86. That is the highest average high, and it goes through tomorrow, July 24th. By the 25th, the average high goes to 85, and our average high falls to 80 degrees by September 2nd. There are some signals that as we begin the month of August, so the 8 to 14 day outlook brings us from July 31st through August 5th. These shades of blue indicate the higher likelihood that temperatures may actually be running a bit below average. What does that mean? Well, it could just mean that we end up with days even in the low 80s, which is below average for early August. Here's the average highs for August 1st, 85. Average low is 63. By the end of the month, we still have our average high in the low 80s. Average low starts to fall into the upper 50s. And just as a point of reference, we do average 4.21 inches of rainfall in the month of August. So we'll be watching this very closely. Again, some signals that maybe we'll begin the month of August a bit cooler. But the takeaway from this is that we have plenty of heat and humidity on tap both tomorrow and Friday. Friday it will act as fuel for thunderstorms, and then there's another risk for strong storms on Sunday too. 3 first alert weather days. Scott Gagliardi will have much more for you tomorrow, but you can join us in the wax on the wax in 20 minutes, or you can join Chief Meteorologist Mark Dixon tonight at 11. The free First Alert Weather app will give you updates based on your location should any storms develop, and that will be a very useful thing on Friday and again on Sunday. Have a great night. Our next First Alert Weather Extra will be streaming live right here on WFSB Plus tomorrow morning at 8 a.m.